From the darkness, a pale hand crawled out. The nails were broken, black with dirt. Then came a head, dripping with slimy water, hair sticking to her hollow face. It was Sister Mercy. Her eyes were gone, just empty holes, but she breathed heavily like a dying horse. From her waist down, her flesh was rotten, crawling with worms. And yet, in her right hand, she clutched a black leather briefcase as if her whole life depended on it. Step by step, crawl by crawl, she dragged herself out of the well. The rain washed the mud from her body, but the stench of decay filled the air. Sister Mercy, whispering, "They took what was mine, but I will take it back. I will kill them all, every last one." Long ago, deep in the compound of St. Mary's Girls' College, stood an abandoned well. It was a place the students were forbidden to go near. The teachers warned, the priests warned, and even the oldest nuns crossed themselves whenever they walked past. They said the well had swallowed people before. They said it was cursed. And they said that one day, something inside would crawl out again. That night, under a violent storm, the prophecy began to come true. Thunder roared. The heavens opened with heavy rain. The ground shook as lightning struck the tall mango tree beside the well. The wooden planks covering it rattled, then cracked open with a screeching sound. From the darkness, a pale hand crawled out. The nails were broken, black with dirt. Then came a head, dripping with slimy water, hair sticking to her hollow face. It was Sister Mercy. Her eyes were gone, just empty holes, but she breathed heavily like a dying horse. From her waist down, her flesh was rotten, crawling with worms. And yet, in her right hand, she clutched a black leather briefcase as if her whole life depended on it. Step by step, crawl by crawl, she dragged herself out of the well. The rain washed the mud from her body, but the stench of decay filled the air. Sister Mercy whispered, "They took what was mine, but I will take it back. I will kill them all, every last one." She staggered toward the old gate of the school, the briefcase still firm in her grip. Behind her, the well groaned and bubbled like boiling water, as if warning that her return was only the beginning. When she reached the gate, she did not enter. Instead, she hid by the broken back fence, the same fence students often used to sneak out at night. Midnight passed. The storm calmed. The only sound was the dripping of water from her gown. Then came the sound of laughter. Two girls from the senior hostel crept out, giggling, holding their shoes in their hands. They had just jumped over the fence. Thinking the coast was clear, they stopped to change into party clothes. But they were not alone. Sister Mercy dragged herself closer, her rotten feet leaving black stains in the mud. The girls froze when they saw her. Before they could scream, she stretched out her hands and touched their shoulders. The girls shuddered violently. Their bodies twisted, their faces stretched in silent screams. Then, in a burst of black smoke, they dissolved, gone. Sister Mercy inhaled the smoke deeply, her hollow eyes glowing red. Narrator. Her skin began to heal. Flesh covered her rotting legs. Her cheeks became round again, her hair darker, fuller. She was young once more, almost beautiful. But when she opened her mouth, she could not speak. Only a guttural groan escaped, like a beast waking from its cage. And so, she waited again. Another group of students sneaked out a few minutes later. Sister Mercy repeated the same ritual. 3 more girls turned into smoke, their lives sucked away, until Sister Mercy's body was whole. She opened the black briefcase. Inside was a neatly folded nun's uniform. She put it on slowly, adjusting the collar. Her name tag gleamed in the faint moonlight. Sister Mercy. By dawn, she walked confidently to the front gate. The security men saw only a well-dressed nun and quickly let her in. To them, she looked human. To them, she looked holy. But St. Mary's Girls' College had just welcomed back the spirit it had buried years ago. And this time, Sister Mercy was not here to pray. She was here to claim the school. Morning light touched the red bricks of St. Mary's Girls' College, but something in the air felt wrong. The chapel bells rang as usual, the students hurried in lines for assembly, and the teachers barked their orders. Yet, unseen by all, a stranger walked among them in the black and white habit of a nun. It was Sister Mercy. Her steps were graceful now, her skin radiant, her face almost angelic. But inside her body, shadows crawled. Her veins burned with the smoke of the girls she had consumed. At the principal's office, she knocked gently. Knock. Knock. Voice, irritated. Who is disturbing me so early? The door flung open. Behind the desk sat Sister Judith, the principal of St. Mary's. She was known throughout the diocese as a strict woman with a sharp tongue and little patience. Sister Mercy sighed softly, with a warm smile. Good morning. I am Sister Mercy from the Street Dominic Monastery. I am here on a visit, and I thought I should pay my respects to my alma mater. Sister Judith didn't even raise her eyes for more than a second. Sister Judith, snapping. Are you here to work or here to give long speeches? If you want to help, join the other sisters in their quarters. If not, stop wasting my time with introductions. Without waiting for a reply, she bent back to her paperwork. Sister Mercy's smile slowly faded. Behind her calm face, her fingers twitched. For a brief second, her nails turned black, her eyes flickered hollow. But she quickly composed herself, turned, and walked away quietly. Inside, anger boiled. She could already feel her disguise weakening. Her hands trembled, her veins darkened. The power she had gained from the girls outside the fence was not enough. She needed more life, more souls. And so, she wandered into the hostel blocks. It was break time. Girls laughed and gossiped in the corridors. Some hurried to the bathrooms, others to the refectory. To them, Sister Mercy was just another nun. But to her, they were prey. She slipped into one of the toilets. The room smelled of soap and wet uniforms. There, she found a junior student washing her hands. The girl looked up, surprised. Student greeted, innocently. Good afternoon, sister. Are you new here? Sister Mercy's lips curved into a false smile. She leaned closer, her breath cold against the girl's ear. Sister Mercy, chanting, whispering in a strange tongue. Iru, Dara, Enai, Amara. The girl's reflection in the mirror began to twist. Her eyes turned black, her mouth stretched unnaturally. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. In seconds, her body melted into a thick black smoke. Sister Mercy inhaled it deeply, her chest expanding, her eyes glowing. She shivered with pleasure. Her disguise held firm again. Her face was flawless, her hands soft and human. But this time, she whispered to herself. Sister Mercy, to herself, low voice. I don't have much time. I must bring them back. My sisters are waiting. Just then, a car drove into the compound. It was Madame Okoro, a wealthy woman, bringing her twin daughters, Ada and Amora, as new transfer students. The girls stepped out shyly, clutching their bags. Madame Okoro, in her usual hurry, went straight into the principal's office with a fat envelope of money. Sister Mercy watched them from a distance. Her eyes narrowed when they landed on Ada. Something about the girl radiated light, a presence that burned her like fire. Ada froze when she saw Sister Mercy. To Amora and Madame Okoro, Sister Mercy looked beautiful and kind. But to Ada's eyes, her true form was revealed. Hollow sockets, water dripping from torn flesh, scars of lashes covering her body. Ada screamed. Ada, shaking, pointing. Mama, Mama, that woman, she's not real. She's not a nun, she's a monster. Madame Okoro, embarrassed, pulling her daughter's hand. Stop this nonsense, Ada. You will not shame me here. This is your new school, and that is a holy sister. Get used to it. Ada's cries were ignored. Sister Mercy stared at her with burning hatred. For the first time since crawling out of the well, someone had seen her true form. Sister Mercy turned away quickly, but her chest rose and fell like a beast in rage. She knew then, if she was to succeed, Ada must be destroyed. That night would be the beginning. The first real feeding inside the school was only the start of a darker plan. Sister Mercy's mission was not just to survive. It was to bring back the others. And for that, she needed to push someone into the well. Life at St. Mary's Girls' College returned to its usual rhythm. The morning bells, the chanting of hymns, the strict inspections. But beneath the peaceful surface, an intruder walked the corridors, unnoticed by almost everyone. Sister Mercy. Her disguise was flawless. Her face glowed with beauty, her voice was soft and kind, and her steps carried the calm authority of a holy nun. She moved into the convent quarters without question, slept in the spare room given to her, and even joined the other sisters in morning prayers. But only Ada, the new transfer student, saw the truth. To Ada's eyes, every time Sister Mercy prayed, her lips did not move with the others. Instead, shadows slithered from her body like snakes. When she smiled at the students, her teeth were rotten and dripping water. And when she touched anyone, a faint hiss rose, as though flesh was burning. Ada trembled every time she saw her. But Amora, her twin sister, saw nothing. Amora, whispering in the dorm. Why are you so afraid of her, Ada? She's the nicest of all the nuns. She even greeted me this morning. Ada, whispering, clutching her rosary. No, Amora. You don't see it. She's not human. Her eyes, her skin, everything about her is wrong. We must stay away from her. Amora, rolling her eyes. You always imagine things. This is why Mama doesn't take you seriously. Ada said no more, but in her heart, fear grew like fire. She knew Sister Mercy had noticed her. And once a predator notices its prey, there is no escape. That night, the rain returned. The students had just finished their evening prayers and were preparing for bed. The corridors echoed with footsteps, laughter, and soft chatter. But deep inside the shadows, Sister Mercy moved silently. She slipped into the junior hostel. Her body was changing again. Her skin cracked, her hands shook, her disguise flickered. She had to feed. She entered a room where 3 girls were asleep. Slowly, she stood beside one of the beds and stretched her hand. Her fingers turned long and black, her nails like claws. The girl stirred in her sleep but did not wake. With one touch, the girl's body stiffened, her chest heaving. Smoke rose from her nostrils and mouth. The girl dissolved into black smoke. Sister Mercy inhaled deeply, her disguise healing instantly. The other 2 girls remained asleep, unaware that their roommate had vanished forever. Sister Mercy licked her lips and whispered to herself. Sister Mercy, low, guttural voice. Soon my sisters will rise, the well will open again. The next morning, chaos erupted. The missing girl's bed was found empty, her belongings untouched. The teachers assumed she had run away during the night. The principal, Sister Judith, scolded everyone. Sister Judith responded, angrily. Silence. This is not the first time a stubborn girl has tried to escape. We will wait until tomorrow before calling the police. Everyone go about your duties. The students murmured in fear, but none dared to question her. Only Ada's heart screamed the truth. She knew who had taken the girl. She saw it again that afternoon in the chapel. The nuns knelt in prayer, their voices rising in holy hymns. But Ada's eyes drifted to Sister Mercy. Her disguise flickered. For a moment, Ada saw her true form, hollow eyes dripping dirty water, scars covering her body, and worms crawling over her skin. Ada gasped, covering her mouth to stop herself from screaming. Sister Mercy slowly turned her head. Their eyes met. For a chilling moment, Ada felt paralyzed. It was as if invisible hands had gripped her throat. Her rosary burned hot in her palm, but she dared not let go. Then, Sister Mercy smiled. Not the smile of a holy nun, but the slow, hungry grin of a predator that had found its prey. Ada, whispering to herself, trembling. She knows I can see her. That night, Ada's sleep was haunted. She dreamed of the old well at the back of the school. In her vision, she saw the planks breaking again, and more pale hands crawling out. Voices whispered her name in the wind. Voices echoing. Ada, Ada, join us in the dark. She woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. Amora sat up beside her, alarmed. Amora, what is wrong with you? It's just a dream. Ada, panting. No, it wasn't just a dream. The well is opening, something terrible is coming. But Amora only shook her head and went back to sleep. Ada curled up, clutching her rosary tightly, tears running down her cheeks. Outside, unseen, Sister Mercy stood by the window, staring in. Her eyes glowed faint red in the darkness. She whispered softly, her voice like a hiss. Sister Mercy, you cannot run from me, little one. I will silence you before the others arrive. For now, only Ada could see the truth. But if she failed to act, the entire school would soon be consumed. The nun in disguise had returned, and she was only getting stronger. The days at St. Mary's Girls' College grew darker. Students whispered about missing girls, but the principal dismissed every rumor as childish nonsense. To her, nothing was wrong. To the teachers, life went on. But Ada knew the truth. Every night, her dreams grew more vivid, dragging her closer to the old abandoned well. And every morning, Sister Mercy seemed stronger, more radiant, as if she was drinking life itself. It was during one of those restless nights that Ada found herself wandering the library, desperate for answers. She searched through dusty records, flipping through old yearbooks and school journals. Most of the older photos were missing, torn out, or blackened with ink. But in one forgotten corner of the archive, Ada discovered a small diary. Its cover was cracked, its pages yellow with age. Inside were scribbled notes in shaky handwriting. Diary entry, voiceover, whispering. They kneel at the well again tonight. Sister Mercy leads them, the others follow. They no longer pray as we were taught. They chant strange words. They claim to hear voices from beyond. I fear we have lost them. Ada shivered. She read on. Diary entry, voiceover. One of the sisters tried to stop them. She begged them to return to God's word. But they silenced her. They dragged her to the well and pushed her in. The earth swallowed her screams. "Oh Lord, what have they become?" Ada gasped, covering her mouth. The diary fell from her hands. That same night, far away in his old parish house, Father Gabriel, one of the oldest priests in the diocese, awoke from a terrifying dream. He had seen the well again. He had seen the faces of the lost sisters, calling out to be freed. Father Gabriel, sitting up, trembling. "It is happening. I told them this day would come." He reached for an old wooden box hidden under his bed. Inside were photographs of nuns from decades past. Their faces were stern, yet strangely hollow. At the center of them all was one woman, tall, sharp-eyed, with a smile that hid too much. It was Sister Mercy. Father Gabriel, to himself, whispering. They thought sealing the well with prayers would end it. But evil like that never dies. It only waits. He pressed his rosary to his lips. Father Gabriel, praying softly. "God grant me strength, for St. Mary's is in danger again." Back at the school, Sister Mercy stood in the chapel alone, her hands pressed against the cold altar. Her lips moved, but she was not praying. She was chanting. The candles flickered violently, the crucifix on the wall shook. From beneath the chapel floor, faint groans echoed, like voices rising from underground. Sister Mercy, whispering darkly, "My sisters, my faithful, soon I will free you. Soon, the school will be ours again." Her mind wandered back to the past, the night it all began. Flashback, decades ago. Sister Mercy was once the beloved headmistress of St. Mary's. She was strict, brilliant, and deeply spiritual. But her obsession with life after death grew into something darker. She found an ancient book, black leather, filled with forbidden chants. Night after night, she gathered the other sisters around the well. Together, they called on spirits of the dead. At first, it was innocent whispers. But soon, they demanded more. One sister refused to join. She begged them to stop. She accused Sister Mercy of turning the holy school into a house of darkness. So, on a moonless night, Sister Mercy gave the command. The others dragged the protesting nun to the well. Her screams echoed through the compound as they pushed her into the abyss. The next day, the church discovered the crime. The diocese ordered them to kneel around the well and pray for 3 days of penance. But instead of repenting, Sister Mercy laughed. She told the others, "If they think we are guilty, let us show them we are not sorry. This well belongs to us. And one day, we will return." Hand in hand, they all leapt into the well. Their bodies were never found. When the priests came, they sealed the well with wooden chains, covering it with prayers. The names of Sister Mercy and the others were erased from the school's records. Their photographs destroyed, their history forbidden. But one priest, Father Gabriel, then a young seminarian, kept the photos. He alone believed Sister Mercy's words were not empty. He alone prepared for her return. Back to present. Ada awoke with a start. She realized she had fallen asleep in the library, the diary open on her lap. The words still burned in her mind. Suddenly, she felt cold breath on her neck. Slowly, she turned her head. Sister Mercy stood there in the shadows, smiling. "Sister Mercy," softly, "you've been reading old lies, little one. The past is dangerous, some truths are better forgotten." Ada's heart pounded. She wanted to scream, but her voice was trapped in her throat. Sister Mercy leaned closer, her face flickering between beauty and horror. Sister Mercy, whispering, "Do not meddle in things you do not understand, or I will make you disappear like the others." With that, she vanished into the darkness of the corridor, leaving Ada trembling in the candlelight. The cursed past was not just history. It was rising again. Parents often trusted St. Mary's blindly. After all, the convent had stood for generations. But Madame Okoro was different. She was a woman with sharp instincts, the type who noticed the things others ignored. Her daughter, Ngozi, had written a strange letter home, complaining about missing friends, cold winds in the night, and a nun who never blinked. Madame Okoro frowned as she read the letter under the dim lamp in her sitting room. Madame Okoro, to herself, muttering, "A nun who never blinks? What kind of talk is this? No, something is not right." Unlike other parents who waved away their children's fears, Madame Okoro decided to travel to the school the very next day. When she arrived, the compound seemed peaceful. The sound of hymns floated through the chapel, girls walked to class, and the nuns greeted her politely. But Madame Okoro's eyes narrowed. She noticed the way the students avoided one dormitory, whispering in fear. She noticed that one of the hostel matrons looked sickly, her skin pale, her eyes sunken. And when Sister Mercy came forward to greet her, Madame Okoro's heart skipped a beat. The nun's smile was warm, but her eyes were wrong. Sister Mercy, smiling sweetly. Welcome, dear mother. Do not worry, your daughter is in good hands. St. Mary's is the safest place she could ever be. Madame Okoro forced a smile but kept her gaze steady. Something in her spirit warned her, this was no ordinary woman. That evening, she demanded to see Ngozi. In the corner of the hostel, she pulled her daughter aside. Madame Okoro, whispering urgently, "My child, tell me the truth. What is happening here?" Ngozi, trembling, whispering, "Mama, you will not believe me if I tell you. They say girls run away, but they don't. They vanish. One night they are here, the next morning their beds are empty. And Mama," she swallows hard, "that new nun, Sister Mercy, when she prays, I hear voices behind her. I swear, Mama, she is not of God." Madame Okoro's blood ran cold. She hugged her daughter tightly, whispering, "Madame Okoro, don't fear. I will take you away from this place." That night, Madame Okoro returned to her lodging house near the school. She prayed for guidance, torn between reporting to the principal or calling the police. But as she blew out her lamp, she noticed something odd. The window had been left open. Cold air swept into the room. Then came a knock. Slow, heavy, 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. Madame Okoro froze. Her voice shook. "Who is there?" No reply. Knock, knock, knock. With trembling hands, she lit her lamp again. Shadows danced across the walls. Gathering her courage, she opened the door, only to find no one standing there. But as she turned back inside, her lamp flickered. Standing in the corner of her room was Sister Mercy. Sister Mercy, smiling faintly. "You should not have come here, madam." Madame Okoro staggered back, clutching her chest. "Madame Okoro, who are you? What are you?" Sister Mercy stepped forward, her body flickering between the holy habit of a nun and her true form, a drowned corpse, eyes hollow, water dripping from her mouth. Sister Mercy, voice now guttural, echoing. "You read the signs too quickly. You listen too carefully. And you love your child too much. That makes you dangerous to me." Madame Okoro screamed and raised her Bible, chanting prayers through her fear. But Sister Mercy only laughed. The lamp shattered. Darkness swallowed the room. The neighbors later said they heard one last cry before silence fell. The next morning, the innkeeper found Madame Okoro's room empty. Her belongings were untouched, her bed neatly arranged, as though she had simply stepped out. But the walls told a different story. On them, written in water, was a single warning. "Do not meddle." Back at the school, Ngozi waited all day for her mother. When night fell and she did not arrive, Ngozi wept in secret. Ada, who had overheard her cries, whispered softly, "Ada, she is gone. Sister Mercy has silenced her. We are alone now." And indeed, they were. Madame Okoro had seen too much, and she had paid the price. But her death was not meaningless. For in her final moments, she had confirmed Ada's fears. Sister Mercy was no ordinary nun. She was something far worse. The disappearance of Madame Okoro shook Ada to her core. Her classmates dismissed it as a parent who traveled suddenly, but Ada knew the truth. Sister Mercy had struck again. The school grew quieter in the following days. Students whispered of shadows in the corridors, voices in the wind, and sudden coldness in the chapel. But no one dared speak too loudly. Fear sat on their tongues like chains. And then, one evening, the school bell tolled unexpectedly. The gates creaked open. A tall, frail man in a black cassock walked in, his steps slow but filled with authority. His hair was white, his face wrinkled with years, but his eyes burned with fire. Father Gabriel had returned to St. Mary's. The students gathered in curiosity. Some had never seen a priest visit the convent before. Principal Sister Judith greeted him stiffly at the chapel door. Sister Judith, forced smile. "Father Gabriel, what an unexpected visit. To what do we owe this honor?" Father Gabriel, his voice stern, deep. "Honor has nothing to do with it, Sister Judith. The well is restless. The dead do not sleep. I came because I had no choice." The crowd of students exchanged nervous glances. Sister Judith's smile faded. Sister Judith, whispering, "Not here. Not in front of the children." Father Gabriel, loudly, eyes scanning the crowd. "The children are already in danger. How many have vanished under your watch? How many souls has she taken already?" A hush fell over the courtyard. Every head turned toward Sister Mercy. She stood at the edge of the gathering, her face calm, her eyes glimmering with a faint, mocking light. That night, Father Gabriel refused the guest room prepared for him. Instead, he knelt alone in the chapel, his rosary in one hand, a small flask of holy water in the other. He prayed for hours, his voice trembling but resolute. Father Gabriel, praying aloud, "Lord, you know the evil that walks these halls. Give me strength, though I am weak. Let not the blood of the innocent cry in vain. But as the midnight bell struck, the candles flickered violently. A cold wind swept through the chapel. He wasn't alone. From the shadows, Sister Mercy appeared. Her habit was neat, her hands folded piously, but her eyes glowed faintly red. Sister Mercy, softly, mockingly. Father Gabriel, after so many years, you finally return. Did you come to bury us again? Or to watch us rise? Father Gabriel rose to his feet, gripping his rosary tightly. Father Gabriel, firmly. You should never have been allowed to return, Mercy. This place is sacred. You are an abomination in God's house. Sister Mercy laughed, her voice echoing unnaturally in the empty chapel. Sister Mercy, sacred? This place was ours before it was ever yours. My sisters are waiting beneath the earth. With every soul I take, their chains loosen, and soon, the well will open. Her face flickered, revealing her drowned form, dripping water onto the chapel floor. Father Gabriel raised his flask of holy water and splashed it toward her. The droplets hissed as they touched her skin. Smoke rose. She shrieked, stumbling back. Sister Mercy, snarling. You dare. Old man, you are weaker than before. Do not think you can stop me. With a swirl of shadows, she vanished into the darkness, leaving the smell of decay behind. Father Gabriel fell to his knees, panting. He realized the truth. The well's curse was stronger than ever. Sister Mercy was feeding quickly. If she wasn't stopped soon, her sisters would rise too. The next morning, Father Gabriel addressed the senior students in secret. Ada sat at the front, her heart pounding. Father Gabriel, speaking low, urgent. Children, listen to me. There is a darkness here you must not ignore. Some of you already see it. Some of you already fear it. If you value your souls, stay away from the old well. Stay in prayer. Do not walk the halls alone at night. The girls whispered nervously. Ada raised her hand. Ada, voice trembling. Father, I have seen her true face. She knows I can see her. She wants me. Father Gabriel's eyes softened with pity. Father Gabriel, whispering. Then you are chosen. You must be brave. Through you, we may yet uncover her weakness. But Ada's blood ran cold. She was only a child. How could she be the one to stand against Sister Mercy? And yet, in the corner of the chapel, Sister Mercy watched them with a smile that promised destruction. The priest had returned, but so had the war. After Father Gabriel's warning, the students at St. Mary's tried to pray more, tried to cling to their rosaries, tried to stay in groups. But evil does not always come in screams or shadows. Sometimes, it comes in silence. That was how it began with Chime. She was a quiet girl, barely noticed in the hostel. Always reading, always obedient. But after that stormy night, something about her changed. Ada was the first to notice it. One evening during evening prep, China's lips moved, but no sound came out. At first Ada thought she was whispering a prayer, but when she leaned closer, her heart nearly stopped. It wasn't prayer. It was the same guttural chant Sister Mercy used when she consumed souls. Ada, whispering, frightened. Chime, what are you saying? Chime's head turned slowly, too slowly, like a doll's neck creaking. Her eyes were blank, her smile too wide. Chime, softly. She is here. She walks among us. And soon, all will bow. Ada gasped and pushed away from the desk. Other girls looked up in confusion, but Chime was already bent over her books again, writing like nothing had happened. That night, in the dormitory, Chime did not sleep. Her eyes remained open, unblinking, as the others drifted into slumber. At midnight, she rose, moving like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. She walked barefoot across the cold floor and stood by Ada's bed. For a long, tense moment, she just stared. Then she leaned down, her voice a whisper that was not her own. Chime, in Sister Mercy's voice. You cannot hide, Ada. I see you. I feel your fear. When I finish with the others, you will be mine. Ada woke with a start, choking back a scream. She turned. Chime was already back in her own bed, pretending to sleep. By morning, whispers spread through the school. Chime's eyes are black at night. China walks outside when everyone is asleep. China prays in a strange language. Fear spread like disease. The hostel girls began refusing to share a room with her. Some even claimed they saw her shadow move before her body did. Ada finally reported it to Father Gabriel. Ada, pleading. Father, she's not herself. Sister Mercy is inside her. She is using her. Father Gabriel, gravely. Possession. I feared this. Mercy is growing stronger. She has found a vessel, a way to stay close to you. That evening, Father Gabriel prepared the chapel. He lit candles, placed his crucifix at the altar, and brought China in with the help of two other sisters. China resisted, her small frame twisting violently, her voice no longer her own. China, in a deep, distorted tone. Leave her alone, priest. She is mine. I will break her spirit and drag her into the well." The sisters screamed and let go of Chino's arms, but Father Gabriel stood firm. He raised his crucifix high. Father Gabriel, commanding, "By the authority of the living God, I command the darkness within you, release her." Chino shrieked. The candles blew out at once. Shadows rushed across the walls, and the sound of rushing water filled the chapel. Suddenly, Sister Mercy appeared behind the altar, her face half beautiful, half rotted, her eyes burning with fury. "Sister Mercy, she belongs to me, old man, and so will the rest." The crucifix in Father Gabriel's hand grew heavy. His knees trembled. Ada, standing nearby, grabbed her rosary and began praying loudly, her voice steady even through her tears. Ada prayed, "Our Father, who art in heaven." At the sound of her prayer, Chino screamed louder, her body convulsing. Black smoke began pouring from her mouth, thick and choking. With one final cry, she collapsed to the floor. The smoke vanished. The chapel fell silent. When Chino opened her eyes, she was herself again. But she clung to Ada, shaking uncontrollably. Chino, weakly, terrified. She said it's not over. She said the well will open again soon. Father Gabriel wiped the sweat from his brow. He knew the possession was only the beginning. Sister Mercy had grown too bold, too powerful. And if Chino's words were true, the worst was yet to come. From beneath the school, something was waiting. Something was rising. 4 days, an unnatural heaviness lingered in the air at St. Mary's. The students walked with fear in their eyes. The nuns prayed longer, but their voices trembled with every amen. And deep beneath the ground, inside the sealed well, something stirred. The wood covering it creaked, though no one touched it. The chains rattled though no wind blew. Every midnight, faint groans could be heard rising from the earth, the sound of women crying, laughing, and chanting all at once. The sisters were waking. Father Gabriel knew it. Ada knew it. Even Chino, now weak and pale, whispered in terror. Chino, shaking. "They are calling. I hear them at night. They are calling for her, for Sister Mercy." Then, on the third night after Chino's possession, the storm returned. Thunder roared, lightning split the sky, and the ground shook beneath St. Mary's. The girls screamed in their dormitories. Some clutched their rosaries. Others hid under their beds. And outside, the well split open. Sister Mercy stood before it, her eyes glowing red, her habit drenched in rain. She spread her arms wide and began to chant in a language not of this world. Sister Mercy, chanting, voice echoing. "Rise, my sisters. Rise from the pit of silence. The school is ours. The blood is ours." The chains burst apart. The wood splintered into the night. A gush of black water spilled onto the ground, flooding the earth with the stench of rot. And then, they came. Pale hands clawed their way out of the darkness. Hollow faces emerged, hair dripping with mud, teeth gnashing as if hungry. One by one, Sister Mercy's companions dragged themselves from the well. There were 7 of them, each more horrifying than the last. Their habits were torn, their bodies broken from years in the grave. Their eyes burned with the same red glow. The dead had returned. The students in the hostel felt the ground shake. Ada ran to the window and screamed when she saw them. Ada, crying, "They're here. Father, they're here." Father Gabriel rushed out with holy water, but the sight before him nearly stopped his heart. 7 undead nuns stood beside Sister Mercy, their shrieks piercing the night, their mouths dripping black water. The priest raised his crucifix, his voice steady despite his trembling hands. Father Gabriel prayed, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, return to the pit from which you came." The sisters only laughed. "Sister Agnes, one of the risen nuns. This land is cursed with our blood. You cannot send us back, priest. Tonight, the children will join us." With a scream, the sisters charged toward the dormitories. Windows shattered. Doors slammed open. The girls inside shrieked as shadows flooded their rooms. Ada grabbed Chino's hand and pulled her toward the chapel. Ada, panting, "We must hide. Father Gabriel will stop them, he must." But when they entered the chapel, Ada froze. Sister Mercy was already inside. She stood at the altar, dripping rain and mud, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. Behind her, the other sisters gathered, their groans filling the holy place with blasphemy. Sister Mercy said, mocking, "Welcome, children. You came to pray? Then pray for your souls, for soon they will belong to us." Ada clutched her rosary, her hands shaking. But as she looked at Sister Mercy's hideous face, she felt a sudden fire burn in her chest. It was as if the prayers of her mother, the warnings of her late grandmother, and every night she had whispered, "God protect me," were gathering inside her. Ada, shouting, "No, this is God's house. You do not belong here." The sisters hissed at her words. Sister Mercy snarled and lunged forward. But before she could touch Ada, Father Gabriel burst into the chapel, sprinkling holy water with wide sweeps of his hand. The droplets sizzled against the evil sisters, making them shriek and stumble back. Father Gabriel, yelling, "Get behind me, Ada. The battle is not over yet." But as the thunder roared louder and the evil sisters circled them, Ada realized the truth. This was no longer just a haunting. This was a war. The bell of St. Mary's tolled at midnight, though no one rang it. Each strike echoed across the compound like a death knell, summoning fear into every heart. Outside, the storm howled louder, the trees bent, and shadows twisted unnaturally. The 7 risen sisters spread through the school grounds like wolves hunting prey, while Sister Mercy stood at the chapel doors, her laughter rising above the thunder. The girls in the dormitory huddled together, whispering desperate prayers. But suddenly, crash. The windows shattered, and Sister Agnes crawled in, her head twisted unnaturally, her jaw hanging loose. A student screamed, "Help! Somebody help us!" Agnes let out a shriek that shook the walls. The crucifixes on the walls fell to the floor. Lights flickered and went out. In the darkness, she lunged at the nearest girl, teeth bared. Blood sprayed. The other girls screamed as the smell of iron filled the room. Meanwhile, Sister Beatrice dragged her broken body down the hallway, her long nails scratching sparks against the walls. She breathed out a black smoke that slithered through the corridors, choking everyone it touched. Teachers stumbled, coughing. Their eyes rolled back as the smoke entered their mouths. One by one, they fell, possessed, their voices joining the chorus of whispers. Possessed teacher, voice distorted. Blood for the sisters. Flesh for the well. Father Gabriel stood in the chapel, gripping his crucifix, his robes drenched in holy water. He faced Sister Mercy and shouted over the screams and thunder. Father Gabriel prayed, "By the power of Christ, you will not consume this house of God." He flung holy water at her. It sizzled against her skin, making her shriek in pain. Sister Mercy, snarling, "You think your water can stop me, priest? I have fed on their fear for decades. Tonight, I will feed on you too." She raised her hand, and suddenly the black smoke burst into the chapel windows, swirling around Gabriel like a serpent. The candles blew out, plunging everything into darkness, except for her glowing red eyes. Amid the chaos, Ada clutched her rosary, trembling. Suddenly, her mind split open with a vision. She saw the well, deeper than the earth itself, filled with writhing shadows. She saw Sister Mercy and the other nuns binding themselves with blood, swearing vengeance on the school that had buried them. And then, she saw herself. Ada stood by the well, holding something that glowed brighter than the moon. A cross of fire. A weapon of light. Ada, whispering to herself, I am the one to end this." The risen sisters dragged students into the courtyard. Their screams tore the night apart as the undead nuns bit into their flesh, their faces stained with blood. The schoolyard ran red. The rain mixed with blood, forming puddles of crimson water. Sister Agnes, laughing with a mouthful of flesh. "Feast, my sisters. Tonight, St. Mary's belongs to the dead." Smoke poured from the windows. Shadows moved against the lightning sky. And above it all, the bell tolled again and again, though no hand touched it. Father Gabriel stumbled forward, choking but still standing. He raised his voice, hoarse but defiant. "Father Gabriel, Holy Michael, defend us in battle. Be our safeguard against the wickedness and snares of the devil." The ground shook as the sisters advanced on him. But suddenly, Ada stepped forward, holding up her rosary. Ada, shouting, voice filled with fire, "You will not take this school." The rosary burned with a light so fierce that the sisters shrieked and shielded their faces. For the first time, Sister Mercy staggered back. Sister Mercy, hissing, "No, not her, not the chosen child." The night of blood and smoke had begun, but so too had the final war. The storm raged over St. Mary's like never before. Lightning forked across the sky, thunder shook the walls, and the cursed bell tolled as if the dead themselves were ringing it. The sisters had overrun the compound. Blood stained the corridors. Smoke choked the air. But still, Father Gabriel stood firm, and beside him was Ada, trembling, yet burning with a strength she did not know she had. The well was open. Black water gushed out, spreading like veins through the soil. From its depths, the cries of the damned rose louder. Sister Mercy, standing at the edge, her voice booming. "This is the hour of our victory. Tonight, every soul in this school will feed the pit." She raised her arms, and the other dead sisters gathered around the well, chanting in unholy tongues. The ground cracked beneath them. The earth wanted to swallow St. Mary's whole. Father Gabriel pulled Ada by the arm. Father Gabriel, panting, "The well. We must seal it, now, before the chanting is complete." The two of them pushed through the smoke and chaos, dodging the grasping claws of the undead nuns. One of them, Sister Agnes, lunged at Ada, dragging her to the ground. Sister Agnes, snarling, "You will not stop us, child." Ada screamed, her rosary pressed against the sister's decayed skin. With a sizzle, the nun shrieked and recoiled, smoke rising from her flesh. Ada stumbled up, her chest heaving. Ada, to herself, voice shaking but strong. I am not afraid of you anymore. They reached the well at last. Black water bubbled violently, and skeletal hands clawed at the edges. The risen sisters stood in a circle, their chants louder and faster. Sister Mercy stepped forward, her face twisted with rage, and said, Priest, child, you dare defy me? This is my kingdom now. Father Gabriel lifted his crucifix high, his voice booming over the storm. This land belongs to God, not you, not your sisters, not your pit of shadows. He splashed holy water into the well. Steam hissed upward, and the chanting faltered. The sisters shrieked, clutching their ears. But Sister Mercy screamed back, her voice cracking like thunder. Sister Mercy, no. Seal it, and you seal your fate with it. Ada felt the fire in her chest burn brighter. Her rosary glowed like molten gold. Suddenly, in her hands, it transformed into the cross she had seen in her vision, a blazing cross of fire. Ada gasped, holding it high. Father Gabriel, staring in awe. The prophecy, it's true. Child, you are the chosen one. Ada's fear turned into fury. She raised the cross towards Sister Mercy. The light burst out, flooding the night. The dead sisters screamed, their bodies smoking as the fire consumed them. Sister Mercy stumbled, her disguise falling away completely. Her face was a mask of decay, her teeth jagged, her eyes nothing but burning pits. Sister Mercy, screeching, No, I cannot be defeated by a child. Ada, shouting, her voice like thunder, You are finished. Ada and Father Gabriel stood side by side. Together, they pointed the blazing cross and the crucifix at the well. Their voices merged, one strong, one young, but both filled with unshakable faith. Both, shouting, In the name of Jesus Christ, we cast you back to the pit. The ground split. Flames erupted from the well. The sisters shrieked, their bodies twisting and breaking, until one by one they were dragged back into the abyss. Finally, Sister Mercy clawed at the ground, refusing to fall. Her scream shook the heavens. Sister Mercy said, No, not again, not again. Ada stepped forward, her eyes blazing, and pressed the fiery cross to Sister Mercy's forehead. Ada, coldly, rest in the fire you chose. With a scream that rattled every wall, Sister Mercy was dragged into the well. The lid slammed shut with a force like thunder. The earth sealed. The black water vanished. The storm died. And for the first time in decades, St. Mary's fell silent. The students emerged, trembling but alive. The smoke cleared. The air was clean once more. Father Gabriel knelt at the edge of the sealed well, whispering a prayer of thanks. Ada stood behind him, the glowing cross fading back into her simple rosary. Father Gabriel, softly, You saved us, child. But this is only the beginning. God has chosen you for a greater battle. Ada looked at the well, her face pale but steady. Ada, whispering, I am ready. The night of terror was over, but Ada's destiny had only begun. The sun rose slowly over St. Mary's. The storm clouds had vanished, the bell was silent, and the grounds looked almost peaceful again. But everyone who had survived knew the truth. The school would never be the same. The dead had walked among them. And though the well was sealed, the memory of blood and smoke would haunt St. Mary's forever. In the courtyard, the students huddled around Father Gabriel as he offered blessings, sprinkling holy water to cleanse the air. They were weak, but alive. At the back of the crowd stood Ada. Her eyes no longer looked like those of a frightened girl. They held something deeper now, a quiet fire, a destiny. Father Gabriel approached her, placing a trembling hand on her shoulder. Father Gabriel, softly, You were chosen, Ada. Last night proved it. What you carry is a gift and a burden. One day, more shadows will come, and when they do, you must be ready. Ada nodded slowly, her fingers curled around her rosary. For a moment, the beads shimmered again with faint golden light. Months later, a traveler passing through a nearby town told a strange story. He claimed he saw a young girl in white robes, standing before a crumbling shrine, driving out something dark that had taken root there. He swore the girl's rosary glowed like fire. He swore the shadows screamed as they were banished. And when asked who she was, the people whispered only one name, the exorcist in white. Ada's story had only just begun, but St. Mary's would never forget the night she saved them. The night of blood, smoke, and fire. The moral of this story is that we should always pray and be careful of what we dedicate our souls on. Thank you for watching this interesting story. Please don't forget to like,